I'm here at my friend's house, James. It's like a cathedral here of liquor, of booze. So today we're gonna taste some scotches blind and try to figure out who has the best juice without all of the fancy branding. So here we go. Bring us out the glasses. And
yes.
They're not going to be in order. Like we probably won't be drinking the same thing.
Right, which is fine. But it's 6 different whiskeys. We're each going to taste each of them and take notes on each of them. Yeah. Then what?
Score them 1 to 10.
Okay.
And don't pour too much for me.
Yes.
So
don't pour too much
make
for
sure that Daniel's not making big pours.
Yeah.
Because I'll end up tossing.
It's not my job. I can go tell him. Or you
wow,
can share,
Harry.
Or you can share with me, Jessica.
That's right.
That's true.
That works.
You can pour until you're done. Drink until you're satisfied.
Okay.
Do you want the bad news or the bad news? Turns out the video file of us three sitting down and discussing the scotches in this blind tasting was corrupted. And I didn't find out until today. So the time has passed and we're not gonna have that part of the video. And that blows. However, I do know the results and I can kind of walk you through the gist of how it all turned out. So first of all, it was 6 single malt scotches, tasted blind. They're all 12 years old, and they're all from the Highlands, mainly from Speyside actually. But that's kind of the Highlands, pretty much, sort of. So the 6 scotches: Glendronach 12 year, GlenGrant 12 year, Macallan 12 year, the Balvenie 12 year, the double wood, Highland Park 12 year, and Glenmorangie Nectar, which is supposed to be 12 years as well. So the tasting, every single time this is what happens, we were very surprised by some of the results, and some things we weren't surprised at all by. So the worst score, number 6, was the Macallan 12 year. Incidentally, this is the biggest brand of everything that we tasted. And you hear, over time, the Macallan's kind of watered down by serious Scotch drinkers, but at the same time, there's something about the branding of it, the price of it, you would just think, no, the Macallan's going to be a good, solid 12-year Scotch. But unanimously, it got the lowest score amongst the 3 of us. I think some of the general comments were that it was a bit thin, nothing stood out about it, kind of bland. Which maybe that makes sense that it is the bestseller, right? LCD, lowest common denominator type vodka stuff. Number 5, the 5th lowest score, was actually Highland Park 12 year Viking Honor. This was very interesting because James and Jess both gave this Scotch a very low score, and it was actually my highest score. But it also was the only one in the group that had any amount of peat in it, which a lot of people find a bit off-putting. So yeah, that was very interesting. Highest, and then they gave it the lowest. Which, by the way, James Linderholm and Jessica Holmes are both very experienced tasters. James has definitely had more whiskeys than I have in my life by a long shot. You saw the Cathedral at the beginning of the video. And then Jess is a Cicerone and really, really deep into craft beer. So we have slightly different palates. I'm kind of everywhere. But I respect both of their palates, and it was interesting to hear that. So number 4 was the Glenmorangie Nectar. This was very interesting because at the beginning of this, when we were picking out what we were going to taste blind, I think we all kind of suspected that the Nectar was going to be at least number 1 or 2, like in that range, because we all agree like that's a very enjoyable Scotch for us. But it turns out, without the branding, without the idea of what it is, which it's aged in Sauternes barrels, that it didn't do that well with us. It did okay, I don't think that any of these were bad, except for maybe the Macallan 12, but the Nectar didn't really do very well, which is very interesting. Number 3, very solid marks, was the Balvenie 12-year double wood. I can't say that I'm too surprised. I really enjoy Balvenie. It's a pretty big brand. It kind of makes sense that across the board it did pretty well. It's a great Speyside Scotch. It really is. Very approachable. Now, number 2 and number 1 actually were tied. Glendronach 12 year and GlenGrant 12 year got the same score of 25 out of 30, which is very interesting. I didn't think those were going to be the leaders of the pack, especially not GlenGrant. I do enjoy Glendronach, drinking it out of the label, but who'd have thought it actually would be my favorite juice, that and GlenGrant, of all of them. I thought personally that the winners were going to be Glenmorangie Nectar and the Highland Park. I don't know, I just kind of thought that, but I was obviously incorrect. So if you want to go and get an excellent bottle of Scotch in a Speyside Highland style, Glendronach 12 year and GlenGrant 12 year may be the best bang for your buck. Again, it fucking sucks that the video file was corrupted. There was a lot of good discussion in it. It really fucking makes me mad. But I'm not very good at this video thing apparently, and mistakes like this happen. So, sorry you had to listen through all that fucking classical music just to get to my ugly face again, but fuck. That's what happens sometimes. Thanks for watching anyways. I'll see you next week, hopefully with a better video.